G'day there guys, Markee here, back at it again with another episode of r/I Don't Work Here Lady. Now if you love this bloody good quality, good content, then I want you to sit back, relax and enjoy it. It's gonna be a good ride. Posted by user AnkyVan, titled, Hubby Was a Karen. We went shopping last week and since we were wearing masks, I think my hubby was a little bewildered when this happened. So we start our shop and I have the trolley since I want to get in and get out. I lost hubby for a while, and after a few minutes, I hear a commotion in the aisle behind me, and being nosy, I went to look. There is my husband having words with a strange lady about something in the trolley. I walk over, trying to find out what the matter is. Keep in mind that we're all wearing masks. I hear my husband telling this total stranger, "Will you please stop buying X brand food because you know I only eat Y brand?" And the lady's like, "But I like this and you eat it all the time." So I walk over to my husband and ask him why is he bothering this lady. I think then both of them realized they were fighting with the wrong spouse. Her hubby eventually found her and was so happy she bought Y brand for him. My husband now makes me wear a mask that has my name on it, gifted by my aunt, when we go any place together. That's hilarious. I love that. My eyes widened when I saw that one, that they were fighting with the wrong spouse. That would be so embarrassing. Oh my god. I would die. Posted by user Loken89, titled, I don't care if you can't find who you're looking for. This man is literally dying. Get the hell out. So, a weird thing that happened the other day that I'm still amazed at. I'm a vigil volunteer at the local hospice centre. For those that don't know, a hospice centre is where elderly people with medical issues go to live out their days. Sort of like a nursing home but more medically oriented. And a vigil volunteer is a volunteer there that gets called in to comfort the elderly and their families when the doctors can tell that the patient is in their final days of life. Basically, there's a group of us who take turns in shifts as we're able to, so that the patient isn't alone during this time, or to help the family with any questions they have, or just to comfort them as well. They don't make for great places to volunteer, but it is extremely rewarding for those that don't mind, or at least are more comfortable around death. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable around death personally, and I don't blame a lot of people that aren't. This particular day, I had just gotten off a 13-hour work shift, and got the call to see if I could volunteer, and I won't lie, at first I said no. The coordinator told me that the man was a Vietnam veteran though, and being a veteran myself, I decided to suck it up and go in anyway. Veterans tend to help their own when they're able. So I go in, relieve the woman who had been watching him, and we start talking, and learn we were both in the same MOS, job, during our time in service, and start to share war stories and other life experiences. Just basically sharing our lives with each other, which is honestly about 90% of the job. After a few hours, I guess it was probably 7 to 8 PM at this time, a family is being extremely loud in the hallway, to the point that he can't hear me speak, so I close the door. I guess that the lady of the family sees the door close and came over and threw the door open so hard that it slammed against the wall. We both stare at her, and before I can say anything, she starts yelling at me. "Excuse me, I can't find family member." I don't remember who she said. "So you need to get up and help me, now." Me, calmly, at first, because it's somewhat reasonable that she thinks that I'd work here, because I wore khakis and a button-down shirt, and I also remembered what some Redditors thought of my last I Don't Work Here Lady situation, and I'll read that next. "Ma'am, I can't help you find anyone. You need to find a nurse for that. I also need you to keep your voice down as this is a medical facility and you're probably disturbing other patients." She's like, "I don't care if I'm disturbing anyone. I need to find my family member and you and the rest of the staff are useless." Okay, I'll give her credit here. There are a few useless nursing assistants that like to hide instead of answering lights and helping patients known for giving them trouble. But on the whole, it's actually a pretty good place. "Ma'am, I understand you're frustrated, but unless they've moved your family member, just go to their last room. I'm sure they're still there since patients have been able to move rooms or even able to get out of their rooms at the same time because of the pandemic." "Don't you think I've tried that? They're not where they were last year." "You haven't visited them in a year? Well hell, they probably took you off the visitors list. I sure as hell would if I was them. I'd take your ass off my will too. Gotta love elderly veterans, lol. They don't give a frick. If you haven't noticed, we're trying to have a conversation, so I need you to get your loud ass out of my room. Unknown to me or entitled lady, he hit the button for the light above the door, signaling a nurse that he needs help at this point. She says, just because you're old doesn't mean you can talk to me like that. I don't give a damn if you're dying or have no Me and the war veteran at the same time, and cutting entitled lady off says, well, that's good because he, VVI, will probably be dead by this time tomorrow. At this point, the charge nurse, aka head of the hospice at this time, walked up and heard us say this, and was, understandably, immediately mad at me for bringing this up in that way, and stormed past entitled lady and into the room, immediately spinning on me. What do you think you're doing? Trying to get this entitled tramp to leave? Yeah, I was mad and cursing at this point. Nurse looks like she's about to say something, but Vietnam veteran cut in and says, this woman is trying to get him to leave me alone so he can do God knows what for her, and told me she doesn't care if I live or die. So, maybe not her exact words, but I'm not gonna blame a then soon to be, and now actually is, dead man for embellishing a little to get some problem lady out of his room during his final hours. Nurse, turning to Karen, says, ma'am, is this true? I'm gonna need you to get back to the front desk and wait for a nurse to help you. We've been here for 10 minutes already with no help. I am not waiting any longer. Well, we try to have the front desk staffed 24/7, but with the virus, we're understaffed, and sometimes the nurses have to leave to help out a patient or another nurse. Since there's no one there, let's go back to the front desk and see if I can help you. No, you can help me now. I demand to know where the family member is right this second. Nurse, her face immediately going cold, says, family member died 8 months ago and was cremated soon after because her family would not return our calls. You can check the morgue for her ashes, but I doubt they've saved them for this long. Entitled lady looked shocked at this news, and honestly, I think what a horrible person to her family member she may have been kicked in at this point, and I think she may have possibly started to cry. I'm not sure, but she definitely went quiet and walked back to her family, with the charge nurse apologizing to the Vietnam veteran and following her down the hallway. I don't know what happened to them after that, and honestly I didn't care enough to find out. I just couldn't believe that person's actions. I do feel a little sorry for the family since I don't know the reasons there was such a long time span between visits, but no matter the reason, it doesn't excuse walking into a dying man's room and causing a scene, making him yell at you. Seriously, who does that? I agree, that Karen is disgusting. Who comes in and yells at someone dying in hospice care? You're in hospice care. For God's sake, respect people dying. I've known people that worked in hospice care and it's not a lovely place to be in at the best of times. She deserves to be kicked out and banned from that place, even if she has no more reason to come there in the future. Like, I want some justice against this stupid Karen. And the next post is by that same OP from 5 months ago, titled, well, that escalated quickly. So I recently learned of this sub through r/ and Storytime on YouTube, and a recent dog adoption post made me want to share my hellish experience from last week. So, a bit of backstory. I'm a veteran who suffers from major depression and PTSD. Because of this, my psychologist, I don't know, I get them confused. The therapy one, not the medicine one, suggested getting a service animal and said she'd write a letter to make it an ESA until it was certified. Luckily, a friend of my mum's was giving away 3 Great Pyrenees/Catahoula mixed puppies, which was perfect for me as I herd and haul cattle for work, and both breeds are herding dogs and very intelligent, happy, and lovable, so she'd be able to help me at work and with my PTSD. The characters are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll mention that Sadie is my pup, the goodest, clumsiest pup that ever pupped. Normally, my company lets me bring Sadie with me, and she'll ride in my truck or hang out in the shop with our mechanic's dog. But my girlfriend usually spends Friday to Sunday at my place, and Sadie latched onto my girlfriend immediately when they met, and they were both cuddled up asleep and looked too cute to wake. So I left Sadie with her for the day, knowing she won't mind as she has a Great Dane and loves big puppies. After work, I called my girlfriend to let her know that I was heading home. She said she was taking care of the horses. Yes, she's a horse girl, but not that kind. And she had Sadie with her, but she was just finishing up. Knowing that neither of us would want to get out again after getting home, I asked her if she wanted to meet me at the pet store to grab a service dog in training vest, because trying to train her in public is pretty hard, as everyone, very understandably, goes crazy for her on sight and has to pet her. And I figured that this vest would at least deter the sane crowd. So, fast forward to us in the large chain pet store. There's only like 2, so 50-50 chance you think of it immediately, letting her choose a few toys and finally coming up on collars and harnesses section that we've been looking for. Cue me fitting her for different harnesses, leashes, and yes, Christmas sweaters as well. I'm starting to put up everything I had pulled out while joking with my girlfriend, and when I get a hard tap on my shoulder by someone with very long nails. I turn to see what I instinctively know is a very entitled woman. She was mid to late 40s, long bleach blonde hair in a ponytail, jeans that may have fit 20 years ago, although in her defense she wasn't overweight, but the jeans were just way too tight, and a button-down western shirt. Thankfully with an undershirt just in case the poor buttons lose their never-ending battle with her obviously artificially altered bust line. Now, this is the type of woman I refer to as a Texan soccer mum, but for this story I'll call her Karen. Karen, as soon as I start turning, says, "It's about time. I've been waiting here for at least 5 minutes while you attempt to flirt with this poor woman." Now, girlfriend hates confrontation and avoids it at all costs, but me, well, I see it as a way to joke, annoy, or just let my inner a-hole shine through. Girlfriend knows this, and as we share a look, she rolls her eyes at my smile and walks off with the pup to browse the next aisle. Karen, again annoyed, says, "Really? You're just gonna ignore me?" "I'm sorry about that, ma'am. What do you need?" Honestly, she was already annoying me with her rudeness, but that is no reason to be an a-hole. Yet. She says, "I need to know where something is." I wasn't really paying attention at this point. I was already deciding to have a laugh, sending her on a wild goose chase. "Oh, sure thing, ma'am. Go to the end of this aisle, down 3, make a left, then a right at the next, and it'll be at the top halfway down. Or something like that, I don't remember, as I was just saying random things. With that, Karen takes off on her quest to find her magic somethings, and I walked to meet back up with my girlfriend, who was now in line for the one open register in the store. Not complaining, it was moving fast, I'm just setting the scene. "Wow, that was fast." Me, a bit proud and with a big smile, say, "Oh, she just needed to know where something was, it's all good." Girlfriend, knowing me well enough to not believe that I'd help someone that was being that rude, says, "Really? That's it? Did you help her?" I say, "Yep, I was a bit rude back though." Karen, immediately after, almost cutting into my sentence with whom I assume is the manager, says, "That's him right there. And he's still harassing this poor woman too. I want him fired right now. He gave me wrong directions to aisles that don't even exist just to get rid of me to flirt with this woman more." Me to my girlfriend, who was visibly annoyed with me, says, "What? Giving her wrong directions is a type of rude." Now, Karen coming up with the manager just made me smile more, which of course annoyed my girlfriend more. But I couldn't help it, this was too funny. Store manager says to Karen, "Ma'am, I've never seen him before, he doesn't work here." And to my girlfriend, "Ma'am, is this man bothering you?" "Yes, but no more than usual," with a big smile on her face, thinking she was funny. "Then why do you smell like an animal?" "Ma'am, that's obviously a cow smell, we don't sell cattle." Karen giving up on the manager and turning to me says, "You don't work here? Why didn't you just tell me?" "Why didn't you just ask?" "That's no excuse to not tell me. It would have taken a lot less time." "Yes, but it wouldn't have been as fun. Hopefully next time you speak to a worker or a stranger, you won't be so rude." Karen screeching at this point, "Where do you work? I'll call the manager there to complain about you. And she even admitted that you usually bother her, so I'll tell him about your stalking too." Okay. At this point, we were next in line, and I didn't have any plans on staying to argue. But what she just said made me laugh right in front of her. "Lady, I don't know who the hell you think you are, but let me tell you some things. 1. I don't, nor have I ever, worked customer service. My boss could care less that I was an a-hole to some menopausal old woman. 2. Don't be rude to people. No matter their job, they deserve respect. And 3. What is your obsession with me flirting with my girlfriend? I got news for you, buddy. Even if I was single, I wouldn't be flirting with you, but I'd be happy to help you find someone more age appropriate. You're what, 55? Yes, I know, it was a bit of a low blow since she was obviously sensitive about her age, but at this point, she'd made it personal, and I was ticked that she would accuse me of stalking when she didn't even know my name. My girlfriend was doing her best to ignore us and pay so we could leave. And luckily, after I said this, she had her receipt in hand, and we turned to leave. Karen, eyes wide and mouth agape, of course, started screaming profanities once she saw us starting to leave. She followed us out to the parking lot, basket and all, she's a basket case that one, with the manager following her, since she hadn't paid for anything yet. My girlfriend was starting to visibly shake, as she really doesn't handle confrontation well. So I got in her car and then loaded the bags in the trunk. The entire time Karen was screaming, mostly incoherently, following me around the car while blocking me from backing out by putting her basket behind my car. At this point, a few things happened at once. First, I got in the driver's seat and started to swing my door shut. Second, Karen tried to stop me from closing the door by grabbing it. Third, she fails to stop door and it closes. Her hand was still on it. Fourth, she screams like a rabbit being attacked by a ferret. Long story there. Fifth, I open the door so she could get her hand out. She immediately yanks it away and then did the one thing that I never expected. After getting her hand crushed in the door, this idiot tries to stop me from closing the door again, with her knee this time. What the hell? She's definitely got determination, I'll give her that. Of course, it didn't close all the way this time, but I was ticked and slammed it, so it closed hard and fast and was probably still pretty painful. Now I'm laughing again, not at her getting hurt, but because as I looked back to tell the manager, she may need help. Back to the store, I saw him, already halfway back to the store with her basket. The entire situation was just so unbelievably absurd. At this point, my girlfriend was crying and holding Sadie really tight, so shut my door, made sure no body parts were in it this time, and backed out, careful not to run over Karen, although admittedly at this point it'd be a lie to say I wasn't tempted. It's been a week now, and while I expected to get a summons of a letter from a lawyer or something, nothing has happened. And that's fine because I don't think that you can get in trouble for hurting someone or they try to restrain you from leaving. I should also say that no, I don't particularly feel bad about anything that happened to Karen, but I feel horrible for putting my girlfriend in this situation and apologized at least 100 times this week. We're good, but I gotta be on my best behavior in public for a while. And I don't blame him. That is a shenanigan mess, deliberation, whatever you want to call it. That is a messy, messy situation. And I'm glad that it ended amicably. Not so much for Karen. She didn't get the good end of the stick on this one. That really sucks. And I hope that her hand is feeling better. Posted by user Borbster1, titled X City Power Company. When I was a kid, we lived in X City. Their power company's phone number was just one number off of ours. This was back in the early 1980s, so at the time you would only dial the 7-digit phone number. In my city, there were only 2 sequences for the first 3 numbers. It was either 431 or 434. Changed it for here. So our phone number, again changed for privacy, was 431-1234, and the power company's was 434-1234. Every single time there was a power outage, we would get at least 3 calls about it. Usually, we just said, you dialed 431, they are 434, and that would be the end of it. One night, the power went out, and this time I answered the phone. Keep in mind, at the time I was 10, and my voice was not deep, so I sounded like, and was, just a kid. So this very loud and obnoxious woman is on the other end, and starts screaming right away before I could finish, saying, hello, that the power went out and she was going to miss some TV show and wanted someone to come over right away to fix it. It was a show that was on about 2 hours later. I will refer to her as Crazy Lady. I'm trying this again and I say, "You have the wrong number, it's 4. "No, I didn't. You need to come over and fix it." "No, you have the wrong number." She starts screaming at me and it was literally indistinguishable. Dad then got up and grabbed the phone from me and says, "Hello, who's this?" Again, she could be heard clear across the room. "Are you that woman's manager?" "That's not a woman. That was my 10-year-old son. That should be your first clue. You need to call 431. Stop trying to cover for her. She's bad at her job and you need to get over here and fix this." Notices your bulge. Ooh, woo. This went on for about 5 minutes and then he just hung up on her while she was in mid-sentence. She called back and after, they exchanged some, pleasantries. Dad, now taking a different approach. "Okay, I am sorry. It's very bye tonight." I'm gonna guess that's busy. It's very busy tonight. He took her information down. Name, phone number, address, everything. As if he was the power company and they hung up. 2 hours later, the power is still out, and the phone rings. We all know who it was and start to laugh. Dad answers the phone and yup, guess who is on the other end of the line? Not sure how, maybe it was the extraordinary circumstances, but I remembered her address. "Where the hell are you?" "I'm in the living room, talking to some crazy woman who still thinks I'm the power company. Your customer service is horrible, and now I'm missing my show, and it's all your fault." "Lady, my son tried to tell you, and I tried to tell you. We are not the power company. This is a private residence. If you don't believe me and you still want to speak with X City Power, you need to look into the phone book. Maybe then you can see that you dialed 431-1234. The power company is 434-1234. "Well, why didn't you call the power company and tell them?" "Lady, I am not your slave, and you've got some frickin' nerve." My dad wasn't adverse to sharing his love of 4-letter words with people who annoyed him. "Well, is your power out?" "Yes, it is." "When you called the power company for your house, you couldn't tell them to come to my place?" "We didn't call the power company. We noticed that the whole neighborhood's power is out, so I'm sure they are working on it, lady." By the way, when he called her lady, he had this way of making lady sound like a forbidden 4-letter word that sounded like it meant worse than F-head or something. "You are so rude." He cuts her off. "Lady, you have no idea. Now, I suggest that you hang up before you really start to pee me off." And she hung up. Side note, we live in a smallish town, about 20,000 people, and her place turned out to be a 10-minute walk from ours. That Halloween, about 3 weeks later, was very, very fun and satisfying for me and my friends. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. By the way, she gave out that crappy Halloween hard butterscotch candy that was wrapped in the orange, white, and black wrappers that nobody likes. At least nobody that I know. She was maybe in her 30s, not elderly or anything, so I didn't feel bad about all the soap on her car windows and eggs on her house. We also started to unplug the phone whenever the power went out, and I don't blame you. No one should have to deal with someone that thick in the head. They got a dummy small brain between those 2 ears. The shopping mall is open and no one's shopping. It is a dust town. It is garbage in there. Get rid of this woman. She deserved to be egged. Posted by user The Epish Deutsch. Titled, "It happened at a southern bookstore." Backstory. I am heading to 9th grade next year after this lockdown gets lifted. Because I would be a freshman next year, my mum and I was required to sign some documents at the school and get my schedule completed. When we were getting ready to go, my mum asked the counsellor we were talking to about AP classes. The counsellor told us that there was an AP World History class available in the 9th grade, and I signed up for it immediately. I love history and I hope to make a career out of it in the future. We got the schedule, worked out, and the documents signed. The counsellor said to stop by the main office on the way out to pick up an info sheet for a summer project in AP World History. We get the paper, and the ladies in the office said I need to read a book for the project. The book I needed to read was A History of the World in 6 Classes. So far, it is an amazing book. If you want to read a book about the evolution of the world through different drinks, I recommend it. A few days later, the story comes into play. Story. My grandfather and I were sitting outside of this bookstore. Am I allowed to say the name of the store? I'm new with this stuff. This is my first post. I'm just going to say the name of the store is BAM. B-A-M. Figure it out. About 5 minutes before the store opens, I grab my mask and go stand with about 4 other people. Because everyone was distracting themselves from each other, I wind up being the one closest to the door. I hear the door being unlocked and step back when the employee opens it to let us in. The door swings open, and I keep it held open so everyone can step inside. It is a southern thing, especially in the state that I'm from. We are known as having a lot of southern hospitality. The first 3 people walked in, and I keep it open for the 4th. She was an older woman who was looking at something on her phone, and I don't think she knew that I was holding the door open. As I keep it open, a man walked by her, causing her to look up. He stepped inside and she followed after, apologizing to me. I walk in and she stops, looking around. There are many stands at the front with advertisements for new books. I didn't notice she had stopped at first, and I had to sidestep to avoid running into her. She turns around and stops me. "Excuse me, I'm looking for a book written by... Oh, what's his name? I don't know his name, but he is known as the My Pillow guy?" She turned back to where all of the book stands were. Would it be up here? Was it published not too long ago? Or would it be in the designated areas towards the back? She asked me. I tried to help anyone who needs it, so I scanned all the book stands that I could see. I say to her, "I don't see anything right up front. It might be on one of the stands further back. If not, I recommend checking the information section back there." I point towards the northeast corner of the building. "Could you help me look? I wouldn't know where to start. This building of yours is huge." I'm kind of pushed for time, ma'am. I can help you look for a moment, but I need to get back home to start my summer project." "Oh, do they let you go home for personal projects, or are you just finishing your shift?" she asks as we look through some stacks of books. "Shift? Oh, no, ma'am. I'm here to pick up a book I need for a school project." She looks at me with surprise. "I'm sorry, young man, I thought you worked here. I can take it from here if you need to go. The rain's supposed to get here in about an hour, and I live 40 minutes away from here. I can wait a few more minutes if it could help you." "Thank you." We searched for about 2 more minutes and we found the book. She went to the cashier, and I went to the customer service, because they placed the book on hold for me when I called about it earlier in the week. I paid for it, walked out, and we started back home. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. That was really positive. That was a really nice one to finish on. And I did her voice there just by chance, not assuming that it was going to be a Karen one. I held out hope that it was going to be a positive story, and Lord above, it was. So I'm really happy with that one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. G'day there guys, Outro Markee here. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Now with that said, we have some special mentions. Everyone that signed up for my Patreon, everyone that's a channel member, you guys all know who you are. I'm going to start putting you on screen in the near future. Sorry, I'm very lazy, but I do love each and every one of you, and you all know that. If you want to join, there is links down in the description below. If you want to be a channel member, there's a join button next to subscribe. It helps me out immensely. Also, I have a second channel that does memes. It's called Markee 2. It should be on screen here now. If you like memes and you want to laugh with me, it's some not so politically correct content all the time. Hope you enjoy it. Click on the screen, subscribe, and enjoy the memes. That's all I have for today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.